what the black man and woman needs to know about the nation, about the world, about themselves. Muhammad Speaks It. To order your 12-issue subscription to Muhammad Speaks newspaper, 313-371-7033. 313-371-7033.
Kareem Bean Pie is the grand champion of all bean pies. The rich flavor and smooth texture takes this pie to a whole new level of delicious. One bite and you'll understand why people all over the country call daily to order Kareem Bean Pie. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033. Kareem Bean Pie.
This bean pie is delicious.
Muhammad Speaks presents Messenger Elijah Muhammad's Teachings by Minister Khalil Shabazz every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. at Muhammad's Temple of Islam, 12609 East McNichols Road in Detroit.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent and Merciful, Soul Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and thee alone seek for thine heaven aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path, path of those upon whom thou bestow thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is earth to be served, worship, or praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. We like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu alaikum. We have Sister Sharice and Brother Mustafa Ali from Ohio. And we have Brother Captain Hakeem and the believers from Richmond. I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Today we like to talk about the 2024 elections and the presence of Allah. We see that, Kamala Harris, she is the candidate for president. And once again, black people is excited about Kamala Harris. But the one thing that we all as black people must understand is God only chooses one. Not only does God only choose one, but we must understand not the coming of Allah, but the presence of Allah. That's something that we hardly ever talk about in this new school Nation of Islam in this generation. Because we see in this picture, we have Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 and 6. It says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." It says, "And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers. Yes, yet lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." Now that's one place where it talks about the presence of Allah, not the coming of Allah. Because we understand that Allah is not a spirit and a spook. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the white man wrote the Bible to hide the truth from the black man. So he makes our understanding of God, or he don't give us a true understanding of God. In some places it says that God is a spirit. In some places it says that God is a man. The messenger said that kind of interpretation makes it a misunderstanding. because we don't know what God is. One place it says God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But the messenger constantly reminds us. He said we are material beings and we live in a material universe. That's something that we don't even think about. He said, what pleasure would an immaterial spook get out of the material world? Just think about that. If we was immaterial spooks, what pleasure would we get out of sunshine? Because that's a human pleasure. Just to see the sunshine. To wake up in the morning and see a clear sunny day. That's just a natural human pleasure. If we was an immaterial spook, what pleasure would we get out of that? What pleasure would we get out of eating good fruits and vegetables? That's what material beings get pleasure out of life from. What pleasure would an immaterial spook have from having babies, having children, if it's an immaterial spook? Then the messenger goes on. He said, has the prophets been representing a God that nobody has knowledge of? How could you? Then he goes on to say that the prophets said they heard God's voice speaking to them in their own language. He said, can an immaterial spook speak a language? We don't even think about that. How can an immaterial spook speak? Then how could this immaterial spook speak a language? Right. There's very many different languages on earth. But the prophet said, they heard God's voice speaking to them in their own language. Right. So if the prophet heard God speaking to them in their own language, then God is not a mystery. Because even if we don't see God, but we hear his voice, we know he is a man. We don't have to see him. We can hear somebody outside scream. If we can hear them talking, we don't see their face, we don't see their body, but if we hear their voice, we know that's another person. So that person is not unknown. They just are not in our sight. So when the Bible says, behold, I will send you Elijah, this is not just talking about Elijah come. This is talking about the presence of Allah. So let's go on even further to get a better understanding of the presence of Allah. Because we live in an election season. We looking at Kamala Harris like, oh, we got an option in the white man's government. We might have somebody who can represent us. But we don't understand about God's presence. Because the messenger said we don't know the time in which we live. The time in which we live is at the end of the rule of the white race. Yes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the end of the rule of the white race happened in 1914.
That's right.
That was the end. That was 110 years ago. 1914. So we'll look at that and say it's been over 100 years since it's supposed to be the end of the white man's world. We don't even think about when Noah came on the scene. That was the end of their world. Long before the rain came.
Right.
When God sent Noah, that was the end.
Yes.
We don't even realize Noah was with them people for 150 years. But when God sent Noah, he was already tired of that civilization.
That's right.
So the end didn't come when Noah said God got the key and gone. The end came when God sent Noah. So those people listened to Noah and called Noah a fool. They called Noah a liar. They watched Noah build an ark. They watched all that Noah did. Then they saw the rain come. So they could see with their own eyes that Noah wasn't a fool. But they still refused to accept Noah. But they still had a chance. Noah had been teaching for 150 years. He built the ark and it started raining. God still having mercy on them.
Yes.
So the rain came and it started to flood and the water got up to their knees. Allah still showing them mercy. But they had to make a choice. Wasn't nothing spooky about the time of Noah. Like how we think it's going to be spooky with Jesus. The messenger said the white man wrote the Bible to hide the truth. So they made us think everything going to be spooky. We think when Jesus comes, it's going to be abracadabra and shazam. But it ain't going to happen like that. Because it's happening now.
Yes.
We go to the supermarket, the prices is high. A lot of the shelves is empty. It wasn't like that when I was coming up. When we would go to the store, all the shelves would be full. Now shelves have been so empty so long, it ain't even a big deal no more. When you go into Kroger's now, you see the shelves half full. It don't look strange no more. But that's Allah having mercy. He's still giving us an opportunity to make the right choice.
Yes.
So instead of us making the right choice, because we always got to talk about Bus Stop Bishop, because he is my example of the presence of Allah. This is a Facebook post by one of the bus stop women. Bus Stop Bishop, I think it was either last weekend or the weekend before. They had a big march with a few hundred bus stops that went to Kendrick Johnson's mother had a little rally for him to remember him. So Bus Stop Bishop and them came. And of course they hating on the Nation of Islam. Because the one thing that I do respect about Bus Stop Bishop, they don't mind talking about Muslims. We the ones that became soft. We don't like talking about them. But they love talking about the Nation of Islam. So this woman in their group shared this about Kendrick Johnson. This is what she said. She said, y'all remember this. Well, no one did anything about it. Absolutely nothing. Not even the Nation of Islam. She says, IUIC, the Army of God, said you touch one, you touch us all. Islam isn't coming for the mother or her son. All praises to the Most High for sending us IUIC. That's what they saying now. Then after they say that, when the devil killed the brother Sonia Massey, they come out saying, never be shot when the devil does evil. It's in their blood. They talk about the nation, telling the black man, look at what's going on and the nation ain't doing nothing. But then they take the teachings of the messenger and added to their nonsense. We don't even understand that by you saying that is proving the presence of Allah.
Right.
That's how dumb we are. We live in it, said it's going to be just like it was in the time of Noah. God sent Noah. He sent him with the truth. People rejected the truth. God sent the messenger. He sent the messenger with the truth. We reject the messenger. But we use his truth to try to make ourselves something. Because let's go to the Bible. Because we talked about Malachi, the 4th chapter. I want to talk about Habakkuk. Because a lot of times brothers talk about Malachi. Because in Malachi, it straight up say the messenger's name. But I like Habakkuk too. Because Habakkuk talks about the presence of Allah. Because when Allah comes with his truth, he don't just leave his messenger to teach the truth by himself. The truth that the messenger teaches proves Allah's presence. Because we don't believe in a spirit or a spook. We believe in a true and living God. So we want to go to Habakkuk chapter 3. The messenger says in Message to the Black Man, page 7. He says the whole of the 3rd chapter of Habakkuk is devoted to the coming and work of God against our enemies and our deliverance. So the whole chapter, 3rd chapter of Habakkuk, it don't just talk about Allah's coming. It talks about his coming and our deliverance. So we don't have time to break down every verse, but we're going to break down some. We're going to start with verse 3. It says, God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. It says his glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Who is this Holy One that comes from Mount Paran? This is Master Farad Muhammad. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that Mount Paran is in Arabia. That's what Mount Paran is. So it said Teman, or Habakkuk, he said God came from Teman and the Holy One from Mount Paran. It says his glory covered the heavens and the earth was full of his praise. It says, and his brightness was as the light. His horns, he had horns coming out of his hands, and there was a hiding of his power. That's another example of how the white man wrote the Bible to hide the truth from the black man. Because we know that Master Farad Muhammad did not have horns coming out his hands. No man has horns coming out his hands. But that's poetic language. That's poetic language that the white man uses to hide the truth from the black man. So let's go on even further than that. It says, verse 7, it says, I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. What does that mean? If it wasn't for the messenger, how would we know that's talking about us? How would we know that the tents of Cushan in affliction represents the black nation? We wouldn't know. But Allah's present. All the things that were hidden to us is made known. It don't make a difference if we accept it. It don't make a difference if we like it. It don't make a difference if we take what the messenger taught and add it to lies. The fact of the matter is God came.
Yes.
He raised the message. Everything that was hidden to us is made known.
Yes, sir.
So now we have the opportunity to accept or reject the truth. That's the whole purpose of God's presence. Because once God chooses a messenger, and that messenger makes converts, then Allah is duty bound to save those converts from the destruction of the white race. That's the whole purpose of his coming. His coming was to save 50 million black people in America. But it's not to force us. Messenger said Allah wants a willing man.
That's right.
He wants you to accept the truth. So he makes the truth plain. So here in Habakkuk, it says, I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. The messenger says the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble, means the falsehood spread over the people by the white race, and their leaders trembling from being exposed by the truth. That's what that means. Because when the truth was exposed about the white race, it caused them to tremble. Tremble means you tremble in fear. Because when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad first began to spread the truth, it did what we say caused the white man to be shook. That's the same thing as saying he trembled. He was shook. Because the white man recognized the presence of Allah. Even if they didn't see Allah. Just like if you hear a person's voice in the opposite room, but you don't hear or see their face, but you hear their voice, you recognize that's a human being. When the white man saw the messenger, and the messenger was able to make all the things the white race hid from us, he made it so clear. He made it so plain. That truth caused them to tremble. Tremble in fear. Because they understood we are living in the presence of Allah. All praise is due to Allah. But the verse that we want to stick with, and the verse that we want to make our main focus for this lecture, is verse number 13. Habakkuk says, it says, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people. It says, even for salvation with thine anointing. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked by discovering the foundation unto the neck. That's what we want to talk about today. What does that mean? What does it mean when Habakkuk says, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people? Who is it talking about? It's talking about that Holy One from Mount Paran.
Yes, sir.
Other words, it's talking about Master Farad Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
It says that Master Farad Muhammad went for the salvation of his people.
Yes.
It says, even for the salvation with thine anointing. Who is the anointed? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Because we talking about the presence of Allah. He don't just raise up a messenger and leave him alone. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad is God in person.
Yes.
And he said he came to make himself known. He didn't just come to raise a messenger. Whenever God comes, He comes to make himself known. When God came to Noah, he didn't come to Noah to hype up Noah to the people. When all people saw the flood, they didn't think Noah did it. They think God did this.
That's right.
God came to make himself known.
Right.
So when God raises a message, we got to understand that's the presence of Allah. That's when God comes to make himself known. So it says, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointing. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked. Who is the house of the wicked? In some parts of the Bible, it says the house of Israel. All these houses. That's the white man writing the Bible to hide the truth from the black man. If I say the house of Israel, or I say the house of the wicked, they two different names for the same people.
Right.
The house of the wicked and the house of Israel represents America. But in general, it represents the whole white race.
That's right.
So when we getting specific, the house of the wicked is talking about America. But when we speaking in general, we talking about the white race.
Yes.
So it says that this truth or this salvation that Master Farad Muhammad came with was for the salvation of his people. It says that he even goes for the salvation with his anointing. Then it says this salvation, it said it woundeth the head out of the house of the wicked. What does that mean? The messenger says by exposing the truth and ruling powers of the wicked race of devils. That's what the messenger did. He wounded them.
Yes.
We see in one part, it says the land of the curtains of Midian trembled. So when the white man first heard the truth taught by God's messenger, it caused them to tremble.
Yes.
They trembled in fear. Even though all of them didn't see Master Farad Muhammad, they understood Allah is present.
Yes.
They could see what was being taught, knew God is present.
Yes.
That's why the messenger said, the prophet said, they heard God's voice speaking to them in their own language. He didn't say they saw God. He said they heard God's voice speaking to them in their own language. That means God wasn't unknown to them. So when the curtains of Midian trembled, even though they didn't see Allah, they heard it. It caused them to tremble. Because the truth, even without seeing God, it'll cause you to tremble.
Yes.
The white man understood all he did to the American so-called Negro. He did all he could to hide the truth from us. Then he see one from among us. Messenger said, I was dumb. White man know the messenger was dumb. They knew we all was dumb.
Right.
That's what caused them to tremble. We made these niggas dumb. That's something when you got a dummy that you made a dumb. Now you don't know how dumb a dummy is somebody else made. But if I spent my hard-earned or my hard time working on this nigga to hide the truth from this nigga, I had the Bible fixed up where it would deceive a nigga who could read. But I caused the black man to not be able to read for 300 and some odd years. Then I told him what I wanted him to know of the Bible. Then I lied to him about that. So now, after 300 years, I give the Bible to the nigga, and I know he can have read. He can't have talk. So I gave it to him just so he can misunderstand. Now you got a nigga from Sandersville, Georgia, that only went to the 3rd grade teaching all these niggas what we was trying to hide.
Yes, sir.
So they ain't got to see God like the prophets did. But they heard that truth. And they understood that truth had to come from God himself.
That's right, brother.
So let's go into the real life history. I love the history. Let's start with the April 18th, 1934 Boston Globe. Because the one thing I like about the Messenger and them Muslims used to whoop heads. I'm going to be real. When I talk about all this fighting stuff in the nation, I want people to think I'm lying. I'm going to be honest. I want some of these weak Muslims in this generation that sit around and let bus-stop bishops say whatever he want to say to the messenger. Sit around and you fall in love with this hypocrite Lewis, and you see him as the national representative of the messenger. You see him have thousands of FOI. Bus-stop bishop can disrespect the messenger in public. Don't get a hickey. Don't get a black eye. And we see nothing wrong with that. So I like going to that old school history of the messenger. It says 6 policemen beaten in riot. I love the history. Because whether it was a black head, a white head, an Italian head, whatever head needed to be whooped, that head got whooped.
Yes, sir.
With the messenger. So on the front page of the April 18th, 1934 Boston Globe, it says 6 police beaten. This is in 34. When the white man lynched Emmett Till in 1955.
Right.
This 21 years before 1955. Because we got to put it in perspective.
Yes.
When we read how the white man put the messenger's lessons, or Master Farad Muhammad's lessons, in the newspaper and we read it, it still kind of sting you today to even read the lessons in the paper. But think about 1934, black man. When they read what them Muslims was doing to them police in 1934.
Right.
Imagine that. It says 6 policemen were beaten and trampled this morning when they attempted to disperse a mob of Negro men, women, and children, estimated by police to number 500. This the message. Whooping heads. They say them police was beaten and trampled. So them brothers was stomping them police. This is the history of the message.
Yes, sir.
When it say that the curtains of Midian tremble, we ain't talking about some choir boys trembling. We talking about the beast was trembling.
Yes.
In Revelations, it says, who can make war with the beast? Messengers say it take a God to deal with another God. And he says when Master Farad Muhammad comes, he comes to make all things new.
Yes.
So he makes something out of nothing. Take a black man with a 3rd grade education, give him some teachings that takes all the fear out of black men. to where they go and beat and trample police. 500 men, women, and children went down to the police station and got into a brawl. It goes on to say, it says 6 policemen were beaten and trampled this morning when they attempted to disperse a mob of Negro men, women, and children, estimated by police to number 500, that had gathered to protest the closing of the University of Islam, a Negro cult. It says 20 persons, including Police Inspector William Rick, commander of Central Station, and 5 other policemen, were given first aid treatment at police headquarters. None was injured seriously. So the first round, they just whooped some heads a little bit, gave some devils a few hickeys. The devils got some treatment, and then they went on about their business. That was the first round. We just whooped these devils' heads a little, get passed out some hickeys, but we ain't done. So it goes on to say, it says the mob first gathered in Clinton Street, and after 15 minutes of fist fighting was dispersed, a few minutes later, the fighting was resumed in front of the police headquarters. A riot squad of 50 policemen finally scattered the demonstrators by using their nightsticks. Some of the women in the crowd had babies in their arms. Others led small children by the hand. Just the message. Think about that. In the 30s, you got your baby in your arm. You got little babies you walking around by hand. And it's a fight that break out. Them brothers and everybody knew they had their children, but they still fight. That's when the Habakkuk say, I saw. Let's read it, what Habakkuk said. He said, I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. So I see these niggas being afflicted. I see these white folk kicking them around, but then I saw they trembling now. What's going on? How could they afflict these people, then the next minute they tremble? Right. When the white man see 500 black people, men, women, and children, coming to the police station making a demand because you upset about them trying to close the University of Islam. Then you get so enraged that you fight police for the first round. Then the second round start up. Let's go and see what happened the second round. It says apparently the crowd had gathered to attend the arraignment in Recorder's Court of 14 instructors in the University of Islam who were arrested Monday night in a raid on the cult's headquarters. It says the fight started, police said, when a large Negro identified as one of the cult leaders shouted, "Get the coppers." So I guess in the 30s, they used to call the police the coppers like we called them the hook and the Jake and the police and the popo. They must have called them the coppers. So they said a large Negro called out to the crowd, "Get the coppers." So they initiated. They sat there and said, "We done took all we about to take." So the brothers say, "Get the coppers." And the brothers start getting the coppers. Let's go on in further. It says a Negro picked up a large pail of green paint, standing on the police headquarters lawn, and drenched a traffic cop with the contents. Messages say we don't carry weapons, but if you see one laying around, Ain't nothing wrong with picking it up. I ain't gonna carry no pistol. But if you got one, and Allah blessed me to get it from you, then I'ma have your pistol shooting you.
That's right.
That's the teachings of the message.
That's it.
So when the man said, the brother say, get the copper. Brother say, he got the copper.
Yes, sir.
It goes on to say, it said Detective John Milligan was set upon by half a dozen men and beaten and cut before he could be rescued. So they see this brother picking up some paint. So 6 brothers look at that devil like, I seen you the other day harassing the black man. Let's get him. So 6 brothers start whooping his head, beating, and they say he got cut until other police could rescue him. This was the messenger.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
That's why it says the curtains of Midian did tremble.
Yes, sir.
They look like, oh my God, God must be present.
Yes.
Because we know what we did to the black man. We know we disunified them. We know we put fear in them when they was babies. So we know from what we done that the only person who could reverse that was God himself.
That's right.
So when we see it reversed, we don't have to see Master Farad Muhammad. We just see what he taught, see what he do to the nigga, then we know we living in the presence of Allah.
That's right.
So let's go on in first. Now let's go to Chicago. A year later. This was in, I forgot to put the date, but this was in the March 6, 1935 Chicago Daily Tribune. It says cultist riot in court, 1 dead, 41 hurt. This the message. All this was written in the message to the black man.
Yes, sir.
So all those weak coward Muslims who don't think we supposed to be fighting, all this I'm talking about, the messenger talks about it in Message to the Black Man. He even said it's in public record for you to go look it up for yourself. That's how the messenger said. So I'm just giving you what the public records say. So it says in the melee, a police captain dead, a bailiff was seriously wounded, 2 members of the colored cult were shot, and 38 others, 12 policemen, 6 bailiffs, and 20 cultists were cut or bruised. Last night, 43 of the colored cultists were under arrest with a possibility that some of them may be charged with the police captain's murder. So then this is what the messenger said in Message to the Black Man. This was that police captain that had a heart attack because of a fight that Muslims had in the court. And when you read the article, white man said what happened to them Muslims usually would have been overlooked. So we was just treating these niggas how we usually treat niggas. Usually these other niggas would have overlooked, but these niggas got mad. These niggas got so mad they wanted to fight. So the white man started shooting and one of them ended up dying.
Right.
Another devil got shot and was in the hospital. That's the messenger. That's why it said it wounded the head of the house of the wicked. But it ain't just wounded because the messenger was talking. Them brothers had to fight.
Right.
That's one of the things that we forget about in this new school nation of Islam. Because they always, when Spike Lee made the movie Malcolm X, he didn't give you no context when he showed Malcolm X and them brothers surrounding that police station. That's what you call, once again, a revisionist.
Yes.
We want to make you think Malcolm was the militant one. Malcolm was the one who brought militancy to the nation. He was the one who got the ball started, and Elijah Muhammad was jealous of him. They don't even know the messenger was whooping heads when Malcolm was a little boy. Whooping heads.
Yes, sir.
The messenger was in Detroit. They whoop heads in Detroit. Then he go to Chicago and they whooping heads. That was the message.
Yes, sir.
But let's go on even further than that. Because we want to talk about them teachings that wounded the head of the house of the wicked. This comes from the April 29th, 1934 Detroit Free Press. It says, Tripp promise, quote, faithful. It says, devils named for destruction by Detroit's University of Islam. That was the message. Before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we didn't know who the devil was. We thought the devil was some spook, like God was a spook. But the messenger, as they say, pinned the tail on the donkey.
Yes, sir.
He told us God is a man. And he told us the devil is a man.
That's right.
You can see both.
Yes.
You can see God and you can see the devil.
That's right.
He said every time you look into the face of the black man, you see God.
That's right. He said that.
Every time you look into the face of the white man, you see the devil.
That's it. That's
Wounding the head of the house of the wicked.
Yes, sir.
We didn't know nothing about every white man we see is the devil. Or every black man that we see is God. That was something that was strange to us.
Yes.
First, just telling us that God is a man. That's hard enough. I can speak from experience. Because I experienced. I was a spook worshiper like everybody else. Hog eater, acted crazy, liked to drink, all of that. So now I'm looking at the messenger's teachings. First, I gotta make sense in my mind that God is a man. Okay, I fix my mind. God is a man. He making sense. That makes sense to me. God is a man. Now he say God is a black man.
Right.
I don't know, Elijah. I was with you with the God is, that's crazy too, but I was with you with the God is a man thing. You gonna tell me this nigga, this wino, this baby daddy, this drug dealer, this murderer, this jailbird, this nigga who can't read, he God?
Yes, sir.
Because he ain't say every time you look into the black man who a doctor's face. The black man who's smart. He said every time you look into the face, let's do an experiment. Because we all live in the hood. Think about the first black man you see when you leave your house. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a black man walking around with no shirt on. He going to be sagging his underwear showing. He probably going to have on flip-flops looking like a savage. The messages say every time you look into the face of a black man, you looking at God.
Yes, sir.
Imagine that.
Yes, sir.
We live in the hood, all of us. Most black people we see is in a bad condition.
Yes.
But the messages say every time you see one, you looking at God.
Right.
Then to take it even further than that, he said every time you look at a black woman, you looking at the queen mother of civilization.
That's right.
Think about the sisters you about to see. Sisters half naked.
Right.
Sisters got tattooed weaves, all kind of crazy. Got all kind of kids. Every black woman you see is the queen mother of civilization. That destroyed or wounded the head of the house of the wicked.
That's right.
Because we looked at them like they was God. Because when the messenger taught us that the black man is God. First thought we have is the white man. I can accept that.
Right.
Looking at what he control, he out in space. He control us. We ain't got nothing he got. All right. I mean, I used to believe he was a spook, but if you say the white man is God, I can get with that. But when you say he the devil, and this nigga is God, now I got a problem with that. I ain't accepting no nigga as being no God. A black woman, the queen, she the baby mama. She got all kind of, she the queen. The white woman ain't the queen mother. The black woman, the queen mother of civilization. So let's go on even further with the message. It says the voodoo guile, which is said to have won a membership of 9,000 in Detroit. Once again, wounded the head of the house of the wicked. It's 9,000 niggas that done converted to this. Think about that. At that time, it was only 17 million black people in America. In one city, they estimate. Because you know when the devil estimate, he ain't never going to tell the truth.
Right.
If he say 9,000, it's really 20,000. But that's what he telling the white man get the point. It's 9,000 niggas who believe we the devil.
Right.
Then it goes on to say, it says Archie M. Hennigar, director of the attendance department of the board, said Saturday he was still awaiting for Elijah Muhammad, pastor of the cult, the list of children's names which the court ordered Muhammad to provide. Not only is the grown niggas learn, the baby niggas, the little niggas they was carrying around by hand, the little nigga babies they teaching the nigga babies we devils. And it's 9,000 of these niggas. This the big part. It says trip to Mecca promised. It says children and adults as well were taught that if they cut off the heads of 4 devils, usually unrighteous Caucasians, they would be given a free trip to Mecca and a button to wear on their dress or in their coat lapel. Now, it's 2024 and we reading this. Imagine 1934. Them teachings was blood raw. Because I heard through the grapevine. Don't know how true it is. But they say, in the lessons, it actually said 4 devils' heads. It actually said heads. But the brothers took it too far. So they kind of modified it a little bit. Because it wounded the head of the house of the wicked.
Yes, sir.
Messenger said the white race was made to be destroyed.
Yes, indeed.
That's a strong teaching. He didn't say they was made to be saved. He said they were made to be destroyed.
That's right.
That teaching come from God himself. So let's go on even further. It says on the matter of Annie Oakley for Mecca, for example, the university's question and answer book is as follows. It says, why does Muhammad and other Muslims murder the devil? And what is the duty of each Muslim in regards to 4 devils? What reward does he receive by presenting the heads of the 4 devils to the prophet at one time? It says, answer. Each Muslim is required to kill 4 devils. And by presenting the 4 heads, he received his reward of a button for his lapel and transportation to Mecca to pass a visit with his brother Muhammad. Now that ain't exactly right. It is. That had them curtains trembling. The messenger giving us raw truth. Because what the messenger said, you have the spiritual interpretation and the literal interpretation.
That's right.
God comes to do the literal interpretation.
Yes.
We come to do the spiritual interpretation. That's what the messenger, he ain't stopped teaching it to us. He just told us how we supposed to understand.
Right.
Now let's go to the lesson. Whether it was kind of modified a little bit or not, I don't know for sure, but that's what I heard. Let's go to Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, question and answer number 10. It says, why does Muhammad and any Muslim, not just some Muslim,
Right.
not just the Muslim who hate, it say any Muslim,
That's what it said. That's right.
that make them curtains tremble. Not just Muhammad, but any Muslim. Baby Muslim. Teenage Muslim. Adult. Any Muslim.
Yes.
That was making them curtains tremble.
Yes.
Because the messenger was giving us raw truth. These questions and answers was questions that Master Farad Muhammad asked the messenger.
That's right.
So when Master Farad Muhammad asked the messenger, he says, why does Muhammad or any Muslim murder to death? We got to say in this new school stuff, unalived. We can't say murder. Why does Muhammad or any Muslim unalived to death? It says, what is the duty of each Muslim in regards to 4 deaths? What reward does a Muslim receive by presenting 4 devils at one time? The answer. Because he is 100% wicked and will not keep and obey laws of Islam.
That's it.
That's wound in the head. He ain't say they was 20% wicked, 50%, 99. He said because they 100% wicked and evil.
That's right.
And they will not obey laws of Islam. It says his ways and actions are like a snake of the grafted type. So Muhammad learned that he could not reform the devil.
Right.
Imagine that. You ain't just saying they 100% wicked and evil. Not only is they 100, they can't be reformed.
Right.
That was the message.
Yes.
Because out of all the lessons to put, white man chose this one. You got all kind of lessons. But this number 10 kind of stuck with this devil a little more. The black man ain't taught to love your enemy. He taught the white man is 100% wicked and evil. Because this is what we did not know. So these lessons is given in question and answer form. Master Farad Muhammad asked the messenger the questions he knew we didn't know. So he say, why does Muhammad or any Muslim? Because I know you don't know nothing about a Muslim. But you a Muslim by nature. Not that you come and accept Islam. No, you a Muslim by nature.
Right.
Imagine that. You as a black man, deaf, dumb, and blind. You sitting in here listening to this man tell you you're a Muslim by nature. You righteous. You come from the direct descendant from God himself. He said you just been in the hands of an enemy.
That's right.
An enemy who robbed you of the knowledge of self. You don't know yourself. And you don't know us. So I'm going to teach you yourself. So I'm going to give you some questions and answers. Why does Muhammad or any Muslim, meaning you, in your natural state, Why does Muhammad or any Muslim unalive a death? Because he is 100% wicked and will not keep and obey the laws of Islam. His ways and actions are like a snake of the grafted type. So Muhammad learned that he could not reform the devils, so they had to be unalive. He didn't say they should be. He didn't say he said they had to be unalive. All up. That's some powerful teachings.
Yeah.
That's some teachings that wounded the head of the house of the wicked. That's a powerful, strong teaching. So it goes on to say, it says all Muslims will unalive the devil because they know he is a snake. And also, if he be allowed to live, he would sting someone else. Messenger ain't giving us no leeway with the devil.
Right.
He telling us they are 100% wicked and evil. He telling us they can't be reformed. He says so they have to be unalived. Because if you don't unalive this devil, he'll sting someone else.
Yes.
He ain't giving the devil no wiggle room. So let's break down the understanding. Messengers say it's a literal interpretation and a spiritual.
Right.
We do the spiritual interpretation.
That's right.
So how do we unalive the devil? We unalive the devil with the truth. The truth unalives the devil. Because the devil robbed us of a knowledge of self. And if we don't unalive him with the truth, he gonna sting somebody else.
Right.
He gonna keep them blind, deaf, and dumb. He gonna keep them spook worshipers. He gonna keep them hog eaters. He gonna keep us disunified. He gonna keep us to where we don't do for self. So we got to unalive the devil with the truth. We give him the truth. The four devils' heads represents the black man in our spiritual understanding. Because the white man is in their brain. The black man think like a white man, act like a white man, live like a white man.
Right.
He a Christian. So we bring four of their heads to the temple.
Right. There you go.
And when you bring four of these black devil heads, you get a lapel pin.
Right.
Sisters get the lapel joint. I don't even know if you call it lapel. But they get a button put on their uniform. That's what it means for us. But the messengers say for God. He said he gonna push the white race in a lake of fire.
That's right.
Alive.
That's right.
That's the literal interpretation.
That's right.
Messengers say they was born to be destroyed. They wasn't born to be saved. So God not wasting no time. Messenger said the white race had 6,000 years to rule. Allah gave them their time. Allah gave them that time just so he could be justified to destroy them all. They had 6,000 years with the truth. They had 6,000 years to accept the truth. But in 6,000 years, they did nothing but hide the truth. Add lies to the truth. Rape and rob the black man. Hate and kill and murder us. So there's no more chances for the devil. It's already understood that these lessons are right and exact.
Yes, sir.
So it goes on to say, it says each Muslim is required to bring 4 devils. And by bringing and presenting 4 at one time, his reward is a button to wear on the lapel of his coat. Also, a free transportation in the holy city Mecca to see Brother Muhammad. Now, we don't really go to Mecca. For us, Chicago is Mecca. So when the brothers used to do, or from how it was explained to me, if a brother by selling papers and getting his lapel pin. They had dinners for them in Chicago. They had a lot of these if you go look at the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. They would send brothers to Chicago to meet the messenger. That was our holy city Mecca. But this teaching is what broke the head of the house of the wicked.
Yes.
Never did the black man understand or know that the white race is wicked by nature. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us they not a people who just lean towards evil. Like they was good, but they started to do evil. He said their nature is evil.
That's right.
Their nature is wicked and evil. This the messenger said. The knowledge that he teach. This is the first time that it has been taught in the public in 6,000 years.
Yes.
He said we are lucky to be the first among the people to get this knowledge. So this knowledge proves that Allah is present. It don't make a difference if you do like Bus Stop Bishop and them do. You take Allah's message and you add it to Judaism. Or you take a little bit of it and you add it to Christianity. Because Habakkuk says that he saw God, or that Holy One, going for the salvation of his people with his anointing. He made it clear. He said when they go for the salvation, that truth will wound the head of the house of the wicked.
Yes.
That's what the messenger did undoubtedly. So we now are living in the presence of Allah.
Yes.
We're not waiting to see Allah come or return. The messenger said, it's just as much prophecy that Allah will return as it is that he won't return.
That's right.
So it's a toss-up. But the fact of the matter remains, Allah is present. No matter where on earth he is, he present.
Yes.
Because he left us a message.
Yes.
He left us teachings and literature to put us on the right path.
That's right.
So the messenger says, after me comes the executors.
Yes.
Ain't no more teaching. He taught. So it's just like with Noah. Them people could take what Noah said all they want. Allah gave them 150 years. You can take what Noah said and play with it. You can add it to what you want to add. Noah, keep talking. Keep telling. Over and over and over and over and over again. You build an ark. Messenger built all of these wonderful businesses. He cleaned up all these people. Some of the strongest and most revolutionary black people we know was in the nation. But we still won't accept it. So the messenger said, after me come the executors. He said they don't come to teach you nothing.
Right.
He said they just come to gather all those who accepted what I taught.
That's right.
He said once we as black people, in my conclusion, once we realize how easy it was for us to just accept our own and be ourselves. He said the Bible calls it a gnashing of teeth. That's what the Bible says. But he said in the Holy Quran, messenger talked about the hypocrite. He said the hypocrite is in the lowest depths of the flame. He said it's not a literal flame. He said, but the grief and the sorrow is so strong in the hypocrite's heart, it's like a flame. It's like a fire. And he said that burning fire causes the hypocrite to wish he was dead. He said that's the same fire, the same regret that the black man is going to have when he find out he blew his opportunity. That fire gonna be so strong that the black man gonna wish he was dead. That's what the messenger said. He talked about how the Bible talked about children's heads would turn gray. That's how much grief and sorrow that the black man will face when he realized all we had to do was accept our own and be ourselves. Well, brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I leave you as I came in the nation of Islam's greeting words, peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Enjoying the show? Help keep us on the air. 313-371-7033. That's 313-371-7033 to make a donation.
Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, soul master's day of judgment in which we now live. The alone do we serve, and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path, path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard thy teachings. Say he Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship, or praised besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves, and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.